change happens, and you must look at it from the point of view of psychology. When change happens, what happens to your brain? Psychologically, some people can be happy with change. Some people can be so depressed with change. Psychological changes that's happening in any country can be attributed. You can go back to the whole idea that why is the country, how modernized or hyper-modernized the country is, and how all these things create changes in the psychological makeup of the country. Change must be understood from the language of change that is being used. In all this, all political parties talk about change. We must change. Change is now. Change is stability. Anytime the country is in, the countries are never, and no nation is ever peaceful. In the history of the world, for example, it is said that the only peaceful time in total the world has is only 275 years. The rest are about change, chaos, complexity, crisis, and conflict. So, the language of change also, can be, has permeated not just our consciousness, but also the media has propagated all these things about change. That I don't want to go into the whole idea of the war on terror, and also the semantics of terror vision. You know what that means? No? Okay. Semantics of terror vision means that anytime the media uses the word that terrorizes others, people start thinking. For example, the whole idea of Islamophobia, anytime you attach something to terrorism, then that word becomes terrifying, even if the word means peace. This you need to understand also by studying the philosophy of language, and also how language is used to change realities, and also to not just to change reality, but also to create new realities. And we must look at change from the point of view of semiotics, meaning that semiotics is the study of signs, symbols. All of you are creatures of signs and symbols. Whatever that you wear, how you speak, what language you use, and your belief system, all these things are a product of, and has become part of you as a person of semiotics. Again, semiotics is the study of signs, symbols, signifiers, and representation. For example, the symbol M, as you see all over the place, what is it? What is a symbol? Even a child knows the sign McDonald's more than the name of the president or president of whatever country, because that is the symbol. That has become a powerful symbol of globalization, and that has got to do with how the brain processed and been colonized by the symbols. That has become, part of the, again, symbol of globalization. And you can think of so many other things that you can study, and to look at how all these things become dimensions of change. And also change also must be looked at from the point of view of what does this change bring? From this point to that point, the futuristics of change, for example. In 5, 10, 15 years' time, how many of you are biotechnology students studying biotechnology? How many of you are studying engineering? How many of us are studying rap and hip-hop music? In 10, 15 years' time, you are going to be part of the process of change and bringing the country into the future that we do not know what's going to be like. Okay? So we will talk about contradictions. Any changes that happen, any culture will have contradiction, meaning that a culture is not something that is stable. Culture is not something that is, fixed. But in the culture itself, whether it's a Malay culture, Chinese, Tamil, Yoruba culture in Africa, in the Mayan civilization, each culture has its own internal contradictions, meaning that there are seeds of destruction in the culture. And it is the seeds of destruction that will create, when it was help destroy the culture and create new cultures, or maintain the culture, but basically it is not permanent. The only permanent thing, like the Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu says, that the only permanent thing is change. And that Lao Tzu said that the moment change happens is when we start carving the stone. You know what that means? It is a metaphor. Metaphor is something that is used to talk about something. Right? For example, Malays have so many metaphors, right? Bagaikan aur dengan tebing, for example. What else? Metaphor. Seperti kera mendapat bunga, for example. You give a monkey a flower of Valentine's and you're in trouble. Right?
Makes a monkey.
And so many metaphors. But as soon as you carve the stone, you turn the stone into something else, into buildings, into architectural installations, into technology, into buildings, into this and that, into Manhattan, then begins the process of destruction of that society. So going back to nature is something that many philosophers say that we have gone too far, that we cannot turn back, because in the culture itself there are contradictions. Alright, since this talk is about colonialism, and we need to understand what is the anatomy of colonialism. Anatomy is what is the internal dynamics of it, right? I decided to give you this topic is because I think many of us need to understand not just the history of colonialism in Malaysia, but also to understand what is the process of it, what is it, and how to understand ourselves, how we are colonized, how our communities are colonized, how countries are being colonized, by going higher and to think about colonialism itself. That is called metacognition. Metacognition is something going beyond understanding the thinking, but controlling the thinking process itself. So we have to understand anything that we do. We have to understand what the definition is. What is the definition of biotechnology, for example, or what is even the definition of technology itself? Anyone give me the definition of technology? This is a nice time to ask the biotechnology. Anyone? What is technology? Where does it come from? What word does it come from? What is science? Yes? Yeah? Alright, probably it's too early in the morning to think about it. Okay. This is a paradigm, a process, right? The science and technology comes from the whole idea of scientia and techne. Applications. From science itself. Science is, science itself came from, the origin of science itself is philosophy. Philosophy is the mother of knowledge. From philosophy itself grows all other kinds of sciences, knowledge. And philosophy becomes science, becomes mathematics, and also becomes everything, right up to quantum physics, right up to what we're studying now, nanotechnology, biotechnology. It has branched out. Anything that has logos at the end, biology, philosophy, psychology, logos means knowledge. It's come from Latin word. From the word becomes flesh, logos. First, the origin of things is the logos, the word. The word is the sign. It's like the Christians believe that, and we do not send you except as a sign for mankind. Right? The Christians believe that. The Muslims believe that it is the book of signs. Right? The Quran, 6,666 verses, 114 chapters. Right? Revealed from, first Mecca for 10 years, 12 years, and then after that Medina for 10 years, I think I've got it. And all these things become with the first word, the first surah, right? Iqra bismi rabbikal ladzi khalaq. That becomes part of the beginning of the sign. What is man has created? We created man from the clot of whatever, blood, interpretations. So this is the thing. You have to understand everything from the point of view of definition of the word.